All right, I'd just like to start off by saying thank you for coming and watching our capstone. Worked really hard on it and put a lot of time and effort into it, and hope you guys like it.
I'm Capstone1718 BuchananBailey.
And I'm here Buchanan. The name of our project is Seniors Connect.
Okay, before we get into what Seniors Connect is, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this capstone chose us.
So initially, my mom approached me at the beginning of my senior year and asked me, kind of told me about what the project was very vaguely, didn't give me a whole lot of detail on it. And I was kind of hesitant to fully commit to it because it really wasn't that big of a focus at this point in my senior year.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. I'm a really big procrastinator, and I just kind of put it off. And I think for both of us, the urgency came when our friends started signing up for the capstones and presenting their final done capstones.
And then also something that the urgency, I was kind of looking for the perfect capstone, you could say, something that was easy enough that I didn't have to put a whole lot of effort into it, but also good enough to make it presentable. And something that I quickly realized with this capstone that was not the case at all. It came down to it being a really good opportunity through my mom's company, and of a high enough caliber to where I could make a difference and affect other people's lives, and also make it good enough to be presentable. And also, when I was looking further into it earlier in the year, was thinking about all the details and all the work that would require, and then I obviously didn't know my baseball schedule, so that's when I decided to bring Caroline on.
Yeah, Harry approached me about it and kind of told me about what the capstone was, and I was interested, and that's where it all began.
So what is Seniors Connect? Seniors Connect's primary goal is a community outreach service to senior citizens ages 65 and up to help familiarize themselves, become more helpful to them, and with devices that they use every day, like a phone, a tablet, or a laptop.
Yeah, the goal was to just basically get them more comfortable with technology in a everyday use. The second goal is to increase seniors ages 65 and up use their online portal.
Basically what an online portal is, it's a service that Blue Cross uses that allows MedAdvantage members ages 65 and up to log in with their personal information, set a password for themselves, and see important information related to their health, like prescriptions that need to be refilled, or doctor's appointments that are coming up, or important notes about their health from their last visit.
Okay, this is a little bit more background of our capstone. So working with Blue Cross Blue Shield and CAK, we had to meet two sets of requirements. So the CAK requirements were, of course, the approvals to use this high school as a space to host the event, and just scheduling that time with Ms. Jelks, and of course getting it approved by Ms. New, and documentation of our whole capstone process, helping us to write our paper and stay organized.
Yeah, that's one thing that I found that was a lot more valuable than I anticipated, was keeping track of everything that we did throughout the whole process from the beginning towards the event where we are now. Making well-written notes helped me write my paper and help put the presentation together. And the other set of requirements was the requirements set to us by Blue Cross. We had to go to their headquarters in Chattanooga, and we had to meet everyone. We had to meet all the executives there, and they kind of told us about what they do as a company or from a corporate standpoint. But when it came to our actual project and the event, we met with the MedAdvantage executives, and I think those meetings were very helpful to both of us because they told us exactly what they expected from us and kind of what their goals were and what we needed to do for them and what they needed from us. So that was very helpful. Mm-hmm. And also something that was very surprising to me was all the legal terminology that we had to talk through. Because I'm sure you know that healthcare in general has a lot of law surrounding it, but especially the elderly population dealing with healthcare, you have to be very careful. The things you say, the kind of words that you use with them, and even down to the font size. It has to be a specific size font. And if we didn't follow these rules and the regulations set to us by Blue Cross and the federal government, then they could be subject to financial implications. So So some more details in the planning. We had to meet with people at CAK and obviously coordinate time and space and areas that we could do it. And that's something I also anticipated to be a lot more difficult, was coordination with the school. I thought that there was going to be a lot of hoops that we had to jump through for them to make the school available to host something like this. But it actually ended up being the easiest part of the whole thing. Something that I thought was very difficult was communicating with Blue Cross, because they're in Chattanooga and we're here, and there was just kind of a gap, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like the communication, I think, was one of the most difficult parts about this whole project itself. I think it really challenged us because they communicate pretty much all through email, and that's something that we're not really used to. I mean, we get a little taste of it here at CAK, but I think we're so used to using Snapchat and like texting and calling, but I think that was like a really good way for us to like get accommodated.
Yeah, and it was like a big learning curve, like Caroline said, but it was also something I think going forward, if I were to plan an event like this with corporate sponsor or anything, I guess in general, that's something that I would want to become better at, is definitely the use of email, and it definitely like challenged us, like she said, to kind of up our communication skills, you could say. Our mentor was Ashley Ward. She's an executive there at the Med Advantage branch, and she was extremely helpful to bridge the gap between communication between us and Blue Cross. She helped us kind of make it easier to get things organized, and she used terminology and words that were easy to understand when it came down to the legal things that we had to do. And she also didn't use very confusing healthcare words. So, I mean, yeah, she was very, very helpful.
She was really good at explaining things and just being really personable.
So here's a picture of Caroline and I at the actual headquarters. It was really cool, good experience. I think that I would definitely do again.
Yeah, it was cool. These are our name tags that we got when we first got there, and it kind of set the tone for the whole visit, because it was kind of, we felt really professional when we got them. And I think when we first got there, we expected them to kind of treat us like high school students, kind of more inferior, but that wasn't the case at all. They were really professional, treated us like adults. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, and like she said, it set the tone, which is something that I really liked. I liked them kind of taking me out of the high school setting and communicating with me like I was an employee there or one of their peers.
This is a picture of us like at the breezeway, kind of in between the two buildings. I think when we first got there, it was really overwhelming and daunting. Like, it was this big, huge, really nice glass building. But I think we got more comfortable as we went through, like meeting the people and seeing the executives, but it was awesome.
Yeah, everybody there was very, very kind to us and made us, feel like we were welcome there, and it was a really good experience. And here's a picture of us right after lunch. Kind of had a long day of walking and
yeah,
met a lot of people. So the actual event itself is going to be Saturday, April 28th from 9 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. And one of the things that we were working through when we were talking about like getting our capstone done, because we obviously had to present today, but the event isn't for a couple more weeks.
right.
We kind of ran into some roadblocks with the company because it was kind of hard for us to set an exact date, like on a Saturday, because we had to coordinate with the school and talk to them. And once we finally got it set, they had to advertise it and get the word out to their members and make sure their team members were available.
Yeah, I think that our problem with communication probably had a little bit to do with this, and also it wasn't like on our schedule. We were running on their schedule.
Right.
And yeah, just setting up the event and
that's one
making
thing
it
that we had to
happen.
keep in mind, that they're a large company and they have a lot of other stuff going on, not just focusing on this one project. And like that's another important thing to keep in mind, is that like they're one of the biggest healthcare companies in Tennessee. So that was one thing that we kind of had to remember, that we were kind of working on their schedule a little bit rather than them working on ours.